You are now invited to enter the family living room. My name is Lisa, daughter of Steffen Thomas. In this gallery you will see several works of art, personal artifacts, and furniture that had special meaning to our family. If you would like to, please take a seat on the sofa.
Breakthrough into Outer Space. Large mosaic table. 1959. Venetian glass mosaic. Mounted on wood panel. Frame and table legs designed by the artist.
Ceramic tile is the material most often used in mosaics, but I prefer stained glass as my mosaic medium. Venetian glass, set in plaster, was used in Breakthrough into Outer Space, an informal but grand mosaic dining table used regularly by our family. The Big Bang Theory was in the news a lot during the decade of the 1950s, so I played off this theme to illustrate the idea of an explosion in space. I finished the table in 1959, just in time for the wedding reception of my daughter Robin. The reception was held at our studio home in Stone Mountain. After I made the table, I also made a welded copper chandelier to go over it. The theme of the chandelier was an extension of the table idea, but I added a unique twist. It holds 12 candles in cups in front of the signs of the zodiac. Below the candles, 4 hanging spheres represent the 4 elements: fire, water, air, and earth. Overhead are dangling stars that represent the constellations. Whenever family members or friends celebrated a birthday, they would light the candle in the chandelier by the month of their birthday.
Steffen settled in Atlanta, Georgia by 1930, after emigrating from Germany in the late 1920s. He shared a house with friends on William Street, which was located just around the corner from my family home. At the time, I was a school teacher in Atlanta, living at home with my parents. Each day he walked past my home on the way to his studio. He eventually struck up a conversation with my mother, and we were finally introduced in the summer of 1933. We were both instantly smitten. We went out on several occasions before he asked me to visit his studio. I was fascinated by what I saw. Sculpture models sitting and lying around. One in particular caught my attention. It was a plaster model of a standing nude woman with her head bent over on her shoulder. It was sitting in a sand pit partially covered with sand, so I began to brush it off in order to get a better look.
Do you like it?
Of course I do.
Well, I will make it a gift to you.
I was thrilled with my first gift from him. I took it in my arms and ran home with it. Then, in July 1933, I went to visit a friend who lived out of town. Steffen missed me so much he wrote me a letter every day to express his feelings of affection. The intensity of expressions grew day by day. In a letter written on July 29, 1933, he wrote,
Darling, I can't remember when I have been as happy as I am now. I will be like this always. It is just like the machine that hasn't been invented for perpetual motion without resistance. I have taken a fancy to a song. In the winter, let me bring spring to you. Let me feel that I mean everything to you, and so much more.
A few weeks later, he proposed to me spur of the moment. Of course I accepted, and without notifying my parents, we were married in downtown Atlanta in a judge's office. I never looked back from that day on, and was Steffen's greatest supporter and muse for our 56 years of marriage.
Musing, 1933, bronze. Musing is a sculpture that Steffen gave Sarah that day in 1933 in his Atlanta studio. It remained one of Sarah's favorites throughout her life. Portrait of Sarah, 1960. Encaustic painting with a handmade frame by the artist. Sarah, Thomas's beloved wife, is a frequent subject of his work, whether abstracted or realistic in style. This painting was originally executed as a photorealistic three-quarter view of Sarah. That piece was overpainted to produce the idolized version of her, contrasting her serenity with energetic lines and dynamic hues, and in a final display of affection, he honors her with a halo. Dick, the Lion Cub, 1962 through 1963, bronze.
One day in the fall of 1961, while I was away at college, I received a call from my father, who told me that he and my mother had adopted a baby lion cub from the Atlanta Zoo. Sadly, the zoo at that time was not equipped to rear the cub, and the staff was pessimistic about his future. Daddy offered to take him home, and the zoo readily agreed. I was the last child out of the house, so my father decided to present this new baby to my mother when she came home from teaching school that day. Regardless, my mother was always supportive of all my father's endeavors. My parents named the lion cub Dick after a good friend whose wife had been part of the rescue effort. Young Dick soon outgrew the bottle and needed to be fed raw meat and lots of it. He became protective of the family and was known to startle more than one delivery man, causing one visitor to escape onto the top of our large mosaic dining table when he realized there was a lion in the house. When it was time for me to come home from college for Christmas break, my father called me ahead of time to inform me my room had been given to the lion. As I walked in the door, Dick, who had the most beautiful golden eyes accompanied by oversized paws, greeted me. On that holiday, I was asked to share not only my room, but also my bed with the cub. Like most cats, Dick enjoyed curling up on top of me while he slept, getting his face as close to mine as possible. Since he was quite large by then and wanted to dominate the space, I tried to stay very still while sleeping. During the night, if he heard a noise outside, he would stand up on the bed and try to growl, but he would never jump down from the bed. He was very protective in that way. Since my parents were very relaxed with the idea of a wild animal in our house, I thought nothing of sleeping with him. While Dick and I only shared a bed for a short time, having him in the house was one of my most cherished memories.
The artist, who had a very real gift for capturing the essence of animals, created many drawings and several sculptures of Dick the lion cub. This bronze shows Dick as a very young baby, lying back in a playful way, tenderly expressing the fact that all young creatures are vulnerable and dependent on others for survival.
Feel free to look around and enjoy my father's work. A curator is available for any questions. Thank you for visiting the Steffen Thomas Museum.